YouTube, what it do, man? We back with another reaction today, man. It is not a body cam, but we got a reaction, man. Y'all know these reactions get very crazy. We got an unsolved murder in room 1046. Without further ado, I want y'all to grab y'all Zaya popcorn, whatever y'all need, to make sure y'all like, comment, and subscribe. We drop daily content on the YouTube, and we live on that YouTube and that Twitch. So make sure y'all over there, man. Without further ado, let's get it going. Keep my nights busy while I can't sleep. Nah, thank you.
This is Randolph Probst.
His animations.
He's a bellboy at the President Hotel in Kansas City. He just got sent to room 1046. The hotel's telephone operator told him that the phone is off the hook. Again. It's the second time he's been sent to the room that day. At 7 a.m., he knocked on the same door for the same reason. From inside the room, a deep voice told him to come in. But when he tried to open the door, it was locked. Assuming the guest was drunk, Probst shouted through the door to put the phone back on the hook and left. But the phone remained off the hook. So at 8:30 a.m., another bellboy, Harold Pike, was sent up to the room. When Pike knocked and tried to enter, he noticed something strange. The door handle turned freely, meaning it was locked from the outside. If it had been locked from the inside, the handle wouldn't have turned at all. So Pike used his passkey to enter the
Okay, that's a little clever.
Dim room. There, he found a naked man lying on the bed, breathing heavily.
What the fuck?
There was a dark spot on the sheets next to him, but with the shades drawn, it just looked like a shadow. Pike picked up the knocked-over telephone stand and placed the phone back in the hook. When he left the room, he locked the door from the outside, leaving it just as he had found it.
Took his booty and left blood on the sheets. That probably was a little too much.
Now it's 11 a.m. and once again, the phone is off the hook. Probst knocks 3 times, but there's no answer. So he uses his key and opens the door. Less than a meter in front of him is the naked man, crouching on his knees and elbows with his head in his hands. Probst turns on the light. There's blood everywhere. It's all over the walls, the bed, and the bathroom. The man has a head wound. Frightened, Probst runs out and alerts the assistant manager, Mr. M.S. Weaver.
Nigga, swear to God, bitch, I'm about to report the manager, nigga. I don't want to see this.
The staff call for a doctor.
This is above my pay grade.
And notify the police. At around 11:15 a.m., the 2 men and another staff member return to the room. But they can only open the door a few inches. It seems the injured guest has collapsed against it from the inside. 15 minutes later, Dr. Harold F.
What the hell is going on right now?
Flanders arrives at the scene. Mr. Weaver, Dr. Flanders, and the bellboy, Pike, enter the room. The guest is no longer blocking the door. Instead,
wait, is people in there?
They find him sitting on the edge of the bathtub with his arms and head draped over the sink. Strangely, there's a clothesline tied around his neck, ankles, and wrists. The doctor takes stock of his condition.
What the hell?
He's been stabbed in the chest. The wound might have punctured his lung. His skull is fractured on the right side, where he was struck multiple times. And there are bruises around his neck suggesting he's been strangled.
This nigga's a demon, boy. How did he survive all of this?
Miraculously, the man is still breathing and semi-conscious. The doctor cuts him loose and notes that his wounds aren't fresh.
Need for Speed.
They seem to be at least 6 or 7 hours old. The blood is already dry.
How did he survive? 6, 7 hours? 6, 7. How was it 6 to 7 hours old?
According to newspaper reports, when police detective Ira L. Johnson arrives, they ask the wounded man a series of questions.
Who did this, Mr. Owen? Who was in the room with you?
Nobody.
How did you get these injuries?
I fell against the bathtub.
Did you try to commit suicide?
No.
Following this brief exchange, the man loses consciousness. He's taken to the hospital, but he slips into a coma. Later that night, he dies, taking his killer's identity with him to his grave.
This nigga's crazy, bro. I would have snitched my ass off.
The murder is national news. It's called America's Strangest and Perfect Murder Crime. The Kansas City police are stumped.
This case came nearer to being the perfect crime than any other murder Kansas City has seen.
The strange occurrences in the President Hotel have fascinated people for almost a century. A few years ago, the case files were made public for the first time. Some 500 documents contain detailed witness accounts, anonymous phone calls, letters from a dead man, and a mysterious object found in an attic decades later. This is the Unsolved Murder in room 1046. This video is largely based in the official case files of the Kansas City Police. Some details are based on research conducted by Dr. John Arthur Horner at the Kansas City Public Library, the first to gain access to these
Yeah, definitely no booty bandit.
Files.
Oh, definitely the booty bandit? Oh, shit.
Also reference the 1943 article, Mystery Murder, Room 1046
Taking
by
ass.
the Newcastle Sun. Further sources can be found in the description. Oh, and yes, we fully recreated the room and hallway to bring this story to life for you.
Thank you, Fern.
Good afternoon. Bellboy Randolph Probst is asked to escort a new guest to his room. The guest is Roland T. Owen. He looks young, but his age is hard to guess. He could be anywhere from his early 20s to his mid-30s. He's well dressed in a black overcoat with a heavyset build and
This shit look like a fucking video game. If he become a game developer, I wouldn't be surprised.
brown hair. He also has
Graphics
cauliflower
crazy.
ear, giving him the look of a boxer or a
Oh, this a real person.
wrestler.
He look
They
animated
take
from
the elevator
afar.
all the way to the 10th floor. While checking in, the young man had made a very specific request. He asked for a room several floors up with a window that didn't face the street. He's assigned to room 1046. In the elevator, Owen tells Probst that he stayed at the nearby Mulebach Hotel the night before. When they enter the room, Probst turns on the light. He observes Owen taking a brush, comb, and toothpaste out of his overcoat pocket and putting them above the bathroom sink. Strangely, they're the only items he checked in with. As they leave the room, Probst turns off the light, locks the door from the outside, and gives the key to Owen. They ride the elevator down to the lobby together, and Owen leaves the building.
Locking the door from the outside is crazy unless you're leaving the room. You know what I'm saying? Unless you leave in the room, should be no reason that the door is locked on the outside. I'm genuinely confused about that in the hotel.
Around 40 minutes later, cleaning lady Mary Soptic knocks on the door of room 1046.
It do
To
look
her
like one of
surprise,
them
Owen
historical.
opens it.
You ever watch one of them historical acting shits, the historical episode stuff? This would have given me a feeling of.
Expected a female guest, so she excuses herself, telling Owen she'll call again later. But he doesn't seem to mind. Entering the room, Soptic notices the blinds are drawn tight. The only light comes from a dim desk lamp. Seeing the expression on Owen's face, she notes that he seems
Worried about something, or afraid.
As she starts to clean, he puts on his overcoat,
You
goes
worry
to the
about the
bathroom to comb his
wrong
hair,
thing.
and leaves the room.
You worry about the wrong thing, lady. Just clean up.
On his way out, he instructs Soptic not to lock the door, as he's expecting a friend in a few minutes. But by the time she leaves, no one else has arrived.
And cut.
Bringing room 1046 to life took quite a lot out of our producer, Mona, and it's tough to wind down after adrenaline-filled production days. Owen is lying across the bed in the dark. Walking in, she notices a note on the desk.
Dawn, I will be back in 15 minutes. Wait.
Soptic comes back to clean again the next morning. She unlocks the door and finds Owen inside, sitting alone in the dark. Then a realization hits her.
Weirdo.
I realized then, after I had unlocked this door, that the man had been locked in the room from the outside.
If he had locked it from the inside, her key wouldn't have turned in the lock.
Right.
While she's making the bed, the phone rings. Owen picks up the receiver and says,
No, Dawn, I don't want to eat. I'm not hungry. I just had breakfast.
before hanging up, he repeats that he isn't hungry. After the call, he asks Soptic about her job and whether she's in charge of the whole floor. He mentions that he recently changed hotels. At around 4 o'clock that afternoon, she returns to deliver fresh towels. But this time,
Is she the only maid there? Or like, are they specifically assigned? I know they acting right now, but it gotta be more than one, right?
Owen isn't alone. As Soptic approaches the door, she hears 2 men talking in low tones.
Oh, he a freaky.
She knocks on the door.
He a freaky ass nigga.
Who is it?
It's the maid. I want to leave some fresh towels.
No, we don't need any. We've got enough.
Strange, she thinks. She didn't leave any towels in the room that morning. And the only reason the other man might lie is to keep her out of the room.
Yeah, cause they probably getting. They probably hella freak shit going on. Hella honey pack demon shit going on right now. It would seem.
Robert Lane is driving down 13th Street past Lydia Avenue when he notices a man running down the street toward him. It's a cold January night, but he's only wearing shoes, trousers, and an undershirt. Waving and shouting, the stranger asks Lane to stop. But when he approaches the car, he realizes his mistake.
I'm sorry, I thought you were a taxi.
Still, he asks for a ride.
Will you take me to where I can get a cab?
Lane agrees, and as the man hops into the back seat, he gets a closer look at him. There's a deep scratch on his left arm,
Oh damn! What the hell happened to you?
and he's cupping his hands together, as if to catch blood dripping from a more serious wound.
You look as if you've been in it bad.
The man responds with a grumbled threat to his attacker.
I'll kill that tomorrow.
The statement sticks in Lane's mind.
Oh, wow.
When they reach the intersection at 12th and Troost, the young man thanks him and jumps out of the car. He runs to a parked taxi, opens the door, and honks the horn, summoning the driver from a nearby restaurant. Elevator operator and stand-in bellboy Charles Blocker is clocking in for his night shift. Shortly after, a woman enters the elevator and asks to be taken to the 10th floor. Blocker recognizes her as a commercial woman who often frequents the hotel with different men. She's about 5'6", 130...
Frequents the hotel with different men? What the hell what does that mean, bro? Frequents the hotel with different men. Frequents the hotel with different men. That sounds crazy.
Black hair, and she's wearing a black Hudson Seal coat with a light strip of fur on the collar.
I'm streaming now, no, what's up?
She asks about room 1026, telling Blocker that she's looking for a client, a man who is usually
very prompt in his appointments.
But after a short time, she returns to the elevator, claiming she couldn't find him. Blocker takes her back to the lobby, and she leaves the hotel. After about an hour, she's back. This time, she's accompanied by a man. He's around her height, with a slender build. He's wearing a light brown overcoat, a brown hat, and brown shoes. They ask to be taken up together, this time to the 9th floor. At around 4:15 a.m., the woman returns from the 9th floor and leaves the hotel. 15 minutes later, the man she arrived with follows. On the way down,
she's an escort.
He complains to Blocker that he couldn't sleep. Then he leaves. It's the middle of the night, and hotel guest Jean Owen is lying awake in her room 1048. She's trying to sleep, but the noises coming from the room next door are keeping her up. She can hear multiple voices sounding both male and female. They're talking loudly and swearing. It's so loud, in fact, that she considers calling the front desk, but she decides against it. Eventually, she falls asleep. When she wakes up at 8 a.m., it's quiet. She eats breakfast and checks out, unaware that in the room next to hers, only a few hours later, a man will be found, inches from death.
Oh, this will oh, okay. So this will lead up to that moment.
Kansas City police detectives Ira L. Johnson and William E. Eldridge are at a loss.
The hell?
They've finished interviewing all the witnesses they could find, but their statements have led to more questions than answers. The front desk ledger at the President Hotel shows the victim signed in as Roland T. Owen from Los Angeles. But when they checked the ledger at the Mulebach Hotel, where he told staff he had previously stayed, he was signed in as Eugene K. Scott. The detectives contacted authorities in Los Angeles, but neither name could be found in any records. They're fake identities. They also pursued another lead. That the victim was a professional wrestler. A week after the man's death, a wrestling promoter from Arkansas named Tony Bernardi came to identify the body. At Melody McGilly Funeral Home, Bernardi positively identified the man as one who had approached him weeks earlier for work. According to John Horner, the name he had given was Cecil Werner, another alias leading to another dead end.
The mystery man. We got the mystery man right here. Holy shit.
Based on the accounts of the hotel's maiden bellboy, someone clearly locked the victim in his room. Was he being held prisoner? The Newcastle Sun claims that Owen likely didn't have the key to his room, as it wasn't found there after his death.
Somebody had to take his keys and lock the door from the outside after they killed him. That's the only thing I'm thinking of. Because the only people that got keys is the maid or the people that booked the room.
And this wasn't the only thing that was missing. All of the victim's clothing, his toiletries, and the knife he was stabbed with had disappeared.
He took the nigga.
Anything that could help the police identify
clothes?
him. According to Horner, all that was left behind was an odd collection of items. A necktie label, a hairpin, a safety pin, an unlit cigarette, and a small unopened bottle of diluted sulfuric acid. The only other clue the detectives found in the room were fingerprints on the telephone stand, likely a woman's. Possibly the same woman Jean heard arguing with two men on the night of the murder. It's plausible they were left there by the prostitute seen by the elevator operator, but she was never seen entering the room.
Knew she was giving that shit up, boy. I knew she was giving that shit up, boy.
Then there's the man she was with. Was it the same man who had been in the room earlier, talking quietly with Owen?
Knew she was giving it up.
Could that be Don, the man that he had talked to on the phone? The one that the note was for? Did they really have business on the 9th floor? Or did they take the stairs one floor up to avoid being seen entering the 10th floor via the elevator? Were they both present when Owen was bound and stabbed? After all, the doctor had estimated that his wounds were 6 to 7 hours old when he was found. This would mean that they were inflicted in the middle of the night, and that the victim had already been wounded when the bellboys came knocking that morning. But when the detective asked who had hurt him, the victim simply said,
Nobody.
Was he afraid? Delirious from his brain injury? Or was he maybe trying to protect his attacker?
Right.
The account from Robert Lane, the driver, adds to the confusion.
That'd be crazy.
According to Horner, the detectives had him identified.
If he was trying to protect, if he had memory loss, that'd be crazy, bro. That would have been crazy, bro. Protecting them could be the only two options. Let's see. Let's actually see.
Find the body in the morgue.
Well, we would never know he lost his life.
Lane claimed that Owen was, in fact, the man he had given a ride to. But the detectives didn't think it was possible for the young man to leave the hotel and return dressed in his underwear. Not without somebody in the lobby spotting him. At the end of the day, the detectives have nothing. No murder weapon, no murderer, not even the victim's identity.
Wow.
Without any actionable leads, the investigation grinds to a halt. But then the strange calls start. This is Mr. McGilly. He's the undertaker at the Melody McGilly Funeral Home, where the body of Roland T. Owen has been on display for around 3 months. During this time, thousands of people stop by in the hopes of identifying the body, without any luck.
Damn, what? The fuck? What type of shit is that? 1,000 people trying to identify the body is insane, bro. That many people can't identify who he is?
Since no family member or relative has come forward to claim it, the time has come to bury the body in a mass grave reserved for the poor and the anonymous. But
the poor and the anonymous. That's crazy.
First, an obituary for the unknown man is published in the Kansas City Journal-Post. Horner claims that shortly after, Mr. McGilly receives an anonymous phone call. The man on the other end.
The unknown man, bro, how are you unknown? And you died in the hotel. That's just diabolical.
Makes a simple request.
Don't bury Owen in a pauper's grave.
Instead, he asks that Owen be buried in Memorial Park Cemetery. He assures the undertaker.
I will send funds to cover the funeral expenses.
The caller explains that Owen
jilted a girl he'd promised to marry.
He claims to have witnessed this, and that the three of them held a
little meeting
at the President Hotel.
Who is this? I'll have to report this to the police.
Unconcerned, the man simply responds,
That's all right, Mr. McGilly.
He says one last thing before hanging up.
Owen hadn't played the game fair, and cheaters usually get what's coming to them.
Oh, wow. So this the killer. Okay. You wouldn't have said that unless you took him out.
Meanwhile,
that's the
editor
killer.
of the Journal-Post also receives a phone call. But this time, the caller is a woman. She tells the editor that the story in the paper is wrong.
Roland Owen will not be buried in a pauper's grave. Arrangements have been made for his funeral.
Who are you? Who's calling?
Never mind. I know what I'm talking about.
What happened to Owen at the hotel?
He got into a jam.
Just as the man on the
case?
first call promised Mr. McGilly, 20 days later, the funeral home receives a special delivery. A letter carefully addressed using a pen and ruler. Enclosed is $25 in cash. And this isn't the only anonymous delivery. 13 American Beauty roses are sent to the funeral. The florist who delivers them is instructed to include a card. It contains just the words,
Love forever, Louise.
Roland T. Owen is buried in Memorial Park Cemetery instead of in a pauper's grave. Police detectives are the only pallbearers, expecting the man or Louise to show up. Other officers disguise themselves as gravediggers and watch the cemetery for days. In the end, no one shows up to the funeral. No one visits the grave.
That's crazy. This nigga had no family. Like, who is this guy? How you ain't got no family?
The phone calls and the cash deliveries are impossible to trace. Despite a new theory being pushed in newspapers that this was a lover's quarrel gone wrong, the investigators don't buy it. They're once again at a loss. For almost 2 years, the trail goes cold, until a certain woman randomly stumbles on a curious newspaper article titled The Mystery of Room Number 1046.
The mother?
This is Ruby Ogletree. She's looking at an article published in the American Weekly in May 1935. The article features a photo of a dead man, a man she recognizes immediately. The scar on his head is unmistakable.
What the hell? What type of shit is that?
She remembers him getting it from a grease burn as a child. It's her son, Artemis Ogletree, who at the time of his death was only 17 years old.
Word?
The article claims he was murdered over a year ago in January.
Brody was only 17?
The question is, if her son is really dead, then who's been writing to her all this time?
What? What the? Wait. Somebody's writing to her as the son? Nah, that's cold, y'all.
In April of 1934, Artemis left his hometown of Birmingham, Alabama to hitchhike across the country with a friend named Joe Simpson.
That's getting
In late
cold.
January 1935, Ruby receives a letter from her son. It's been a few weeks since he last wrote. His previous letters were always simple, telling her about his latest job prospects, his next destination, and the friends he was traveling with.
I think that fellow I told you about was going to open a business and give me half interest in it has definitely made up his mind to open in the spring. He is about the best friend I have. He has a big Cadillac. We are going to Excelsior Springs next week in it.
Artemis always wrote by hand. His writing was straightforward, with little exaggeration and few flourishes.
Yeah, so he was able to look at the messages and kind of translate as if he was him.
But this letter is different.
Oh, it's
Ruby
different?
notices that it was written using a typewriter.
Oh, okay. Major red flag there.
As far as she knows, her son never learned how to type. But the letter says otherwise.
I still
Oh, this nigga don't. Oh, he don't know how to type. He know how to write.
practice on the typewriter when I get a chance. The big typewriter companies have branches in all large towns where you can practice all you want to.
It's plausible that he could have learned, but it does strike her as suspicious. Reading the letter further, she finds out about his grand plans to head to New York, inspired by a conversation with a sailor.
I was talking to a fellow the other day. He just got back from Europe, worked his way across and back on a big freighter.
He implies that he wants to travel the world and head for Europe, but first he has to make it to New York. Conveniently, he gets a chance to do just that.
A man wants me to drive him and his family to New York.
The letter ends with a strange handwritten postscript.
P.S. Don't worry about Artemis. Sorry to learn he's not coming home. Lem.
Ruby receives the next letter several weeks
He not coming home, Lem.
later, this time from New York. Apparently, Artemis had driven the man, who he now identifies as Mr. Jordan, to the city. Jordan then helped him get a job, but it didn't work out. What stands out most to her is the letter's outlandish detail and unusual slang.
I got poisoned on something I ate at some dump. I was laid up for a few days, and my stomach pained me a lot, but I finally got over that. Then I caught the flu and had to go to bed for almost 9 weeks, and I guess I was pretty sick.
This nigga taking a very detailed time to message the mother letters, though. If he gotta be the killer.
This is inconsistent.
It's strange.
Elsewhere, he claims to have only been in New York for 6 weeks. After making excuses for not writing sooner, Artemis expands on his plans to work in a freighter.
I think that I'll be leaving here in a few days to go on across the big pond. I understand it takes almost a month to get across, and maybe a few more weeks to unload the ship at different ports.
He includes the address of a post office in Paris, telling his mother to send her letters to him there.
I sure want to see Paris, so I'll be heading that way all the time.
But shortly after, Ruby receives another letter from New York.
Well, I joined the freighter for the trip across, and they have put me to work already.
Confirming his departure, he clarifies one last detail.
I decided not to send my heavy coat home.
In the previous letter, he had written that he might send his winter clothes home to her. It's a curious detail. A coat also disappeared from the scene of the crime. The signature...
Yeah, that nigga read every letter that him and his mom went through so far.
And this final
That's the
letter
only
is
way
once
I
again
can think of.
typewritten. Artemis. Ruby Ogletree doesn't hear from her son for another 4 months. Then, one day in August, she receives a phone call from a man with a familiar name, Mr. Godfrey Jordan.
Godfrey Jordan.
Ruby has a 45-minute phone call with her son's mysterious benefactor. Jordan tells her that he's just left Artemis in Cairo, Egypt, where they had met while Jordan was traveling through the Holy Land. Another inconsistency. Mr. Jordan supposedly met Artemis in New York. Now he's claiming they met somewhere halfway around the world.
Oh, red flags.
According to him, the two formed a life and death bond when Artemis saved him from a band of thugs. To repay him, Jordan says he gave Artemis money and arranged for his passage home through Paris and London. The Newcastle Sun reports that he also claims Artemis married a wealthy woman in Cairo and was doing well. Conveniently, he even has an explanation for the typewritten letters. Apparently, Artemis lost his right thumb during the fight for Jordan's life. Because of this injury, he can no longer hold a pen to write.
Get the hell out of here, bruh. Anything to make up an excuse to why he doing this.
This also doesn't make much sense. Why would he have started typing in New York even though he only lost his thumb in Cairo? Ruby is understandably alarmed by the call. Jordan assures her that Artemis is fine and will be home for Christmas. He urges her not to worry about not hearing from her son. But she doesn't buy it.
Yeah, I know
the
that's
story
right,
simply
mama.
seems too outlandish, so she begins an investigation of her own.
I know that's
First,
right,
she
mama.
contacts the American Consul General in Cairo. She details her call with Jordan and asks them to find her son. The consul replies a few weeks later. They are unable to find any trace of him. Then she writes to the director of the FBI, J. Edgar Hoover, asking for any information. 10 days later, Hoover replies. A search of the Bureau files has failed to disclose any information about her son. She also writes to the Department of State to inquire about Artemis's passport. No record is found of such a document ever being issued to him, meaning legally, he couldn't have traveled to Egypt. Making no progress with her inquiries, she has one last hope, that her son will make his way home for Christmas. But
I feel bad for the mama. I feel sorry for the mama. That's crazy, y'all.
Despite Jordan's promise, Artemis never shows up. Desperate, Ruby makes a last-ditch effort to find her son. She sends a letter to the president, Franklin D. Roosevelt.
The
It
president?
contains a photo, a description, and a mother's plea.
I fear he has fallen into the hands of some gang, or something has happened to him. I simply must find some trace of him.
Her letter to the White House is forwarded to the FBI. 8 days later, she again receives a response from FBI Director J. Edgar Hoover.
Please be advised that this photograph is being retained in the files here for future reference. Regarding your son, you'll be promptly notified.
The picture she sent isn't linked to the murder in Kansas City. Things don't fall into place for Ruby until she sees her dead son in that article 10 months later.
Holy shit. All right, that's when she sees the article. That's insane right there.
The identification of Roland T. Owen as Artemis Ogletree breathes new life into the investigation. With the victim's real name, the detectives are able to retrace his steps. They discover that for several months he had stayed at a third place in Kansas City, the St. Regis Hotel. There, he checked in with a companion, a man who signed the register as Donald Kelso. Presumably, the Don.
Don?
In 1937, there finally seems to be a break in the case.
Don Julio!
A man is arrested in New York. A career criminal who is known to have used Donald Kelso as an alias before. A man who serves time in a psychiatric ward in Artemis's hometown of Birmingham, Alabama.
Okay, we got a killer.
A man convicted of a murder in New York that had striking similarities to the Ogletree killing. According to a New Yorker article from 1938, he'd shot his roommate, dismembered him, and attempted to ship the nude body to Memphis in a steamer truck.
Oh yeah, this nigga on some bullshit. Yup, that's him. Lock his ass up, throw the key away.
His real name is Joseph Ogden.
Joseph Ogden.
Police Chief Otto Higgins decides that the cases have too many things in common for it to be a coincidence.
To
prove the connection, the police send samples of Joseph Ogden's handwriting in the hotel register to the FBI. But the tests are inconclusive. Still, Chief Higgins is convinced that Ogden is the killer. In the minds of the police, the murder is solved.
We have the picture of Joseph Ogden and are satisfied that he is the man known to us as Don Kelso. And the letters written to his mother, all check.
You might call it a mother's intuition. Ruby Ogletree doesn't believe Ogden is her son's killer. To her, the letters and the phone call she received were too personal. They didn't seem like the work of a random gangster, but somebody who knew her son intimately. Someone like his friend Joe Simpson. And Ruby has mentioned her suspicions about Simpson to the police before.
Mrs. Ogletree does not know of anyone her son left Birmingham with except Joe Simpson.
But the detectives have already corresponded with Simpson by letter. He claimed that he traveled with Artemis to Los Angeles, where they split up, never to meet again. Less than a month after Higgins writes that he's satisfied Ogden is the killer, Ruby writes to him again, urging him to look into Simpson.
I really do believe Joe Simpson can give us some real information, if you could only make him talk.
But the detectives ignore her suspicions. In their eyes, his alibi doesn't warrant further investigation.
Why they ignoring the mama stuff, man? Why y'all doing mama love like that, man?
So Ruby continues her investigation alone, determined to find an answer. Her first lead is a letter Joe Simpson had sent after it became public knowledge that Artemis was the victim in the mysterious murder in room 1046. In it, he told the same story he had presented to the police.
I was horrified to read of the atrocious slaying of your son. Artemis was a good boy, and I'm sure he wasn't involved in anything illegitimate. If there's anything I can do to aid in the solving of this case, I will be very glad to.
Who y'all? Damn, it's a lot of people who look like a suspect in this shit, though. Joe Simpson and that Jordan dude. Them two dudes right there.
Help.
Heavy.
This thoughtful gesture also contained an interesting postscript.
P.S. Artemis and I left Birmingham alone. Only two of us.
If true, this means that Simpson was the only person on record to have seen Artemis alive before he re-emerged under different aliases in Kansas City. Ruby becomes even more suspicious when she finds out Simpson had failed to visit her while in Birmingham for work. He'd promised to do so multiple times. Clearly, he's avoiding her for some reason. She wants to speak to him face to face, so she hunts him down. Ruby, her husband, and a friend track Simpson to the house of one of his friends, Bill Hogan. Simpson's car is parked in the street, so Mr. Ogletree goes to look for him, leaving his wife and her friend behind. It takes over an hour for Joe and his friend Bill to come outside. All five sit in the Ogletree's cramped car together.
I said to Joe, well, 5 years are a long time for one to keep trying to see one. I had been told he did not intend to see me at all.
Joe tells Ruby that he had only avoided seeing her because he was afraid she would cry. It seems to her that Joe answers her questions very carefully. Mostly, he claims not to remember. But a few key things stand out to her. The first is Simpson's voice and speech patterns. During her call with Godfrey Jordan, she had noticed a specific verbal tick. He repeatedly prefaced his sentences with,
"You see,"
or,
"You see, it's like this."
Sitting in the car now, Joe says something that sets alarm bells ringing.
"You see, Artemis told me he wanted to go to Africa."
Right after, his friend Bill corrects him, saying,
"Egypt."
Why would he correct him? Was it a slip-up?
You slipped up, now we gotta kill the mama type shit. You slipped up, now we gotta kill the mama type shit. You see how niggas be fucking up and then they gotta do more than what they gotta do? Mama is the real detective, bro.
How would these boys know about the Egypt lie she was told on the phone? The longer she hears his voice, the more confident she becomes. Finally, she confronts Joe directly.
I looked Joe square in the eyes and I told him I would know the voice that talked to me from Memphis.
Sitting closely together in the car, his physical reaction is difficult to hide.
He turned red, dropped his eyes, and was nervous.
When the investigation comes up, she notes a curious shift in Joe's demeanor. She says that Kansas City's chief of police called the murder in room 1046 the perfect crime. At that, Joe seems to become cocky. He laughs and says,
"It is. They'll never get the ones who killed him."
Mirth is a strange reaction to your friend's death. Ruby then mentions that her son was found nude, without any of his clothes or even his shoes.
Left his ass out, bro. I know they did. That's wild, bro. Oh my God, bro. Y'all done killed that man and left him naked, bro. Like, what type of prison shit is that, bro? Hey, nigga, were you incarcerated, bro? I know the other dude is, but like, my nigga, what type of thoughts you get into your head after you hurt somebody, nigga? Like, you get freaky when you kill a nigga, bro?
Once again, Joe just laughs and says,
"They were mine."
He goes on to explain that he and Artemis had gotten kicked out of a hotel and slept in a park together. There, Artemis's shoes were stolen off his feet. The claim raises questions about the story that they had parted ways in LA, because Ruby remembers a crucial detail. Artemis had wired her about buying a new pair, and the wire had been sent from Kansas City, Missouri. If Joe remembers Artemis needing new shoes, it's likely the boys were together in Kansas City. Then Joe implies that he couldn't have been with Artemis because he was in high school during that time in 1935. But Ruby sees in the school's records that Joe was expelled for poor attendance on January 2, 1935, the same day Artemis checked into the President Hotel.
Crazy.
The records also show that Joe had been absent from school for a total of 21.5 days, meaning that he also could have been absent in the days before the murder. Finally, Joe claims to have stayed in touch with Artemis after they split up. He promises Ruby he'll send her a letter he received from Artemis, a letter he claims
was badly typed.
Ruby knows all the letters Artemis would have sent while he was with Joe were handwritten. The letters she'd received from the imposter after her son's death weren't public knowledge. Why does Joe claim that Artemis used a typewriter? Did he receive a letter from the same imposter? Or is he himself the imposter?
Correct.
In talking with the boy, Joe Simpson, I was reasonably convinced that he is the person that talked to me 7 months after my son was killed.
Ruby never receives a letter from Joe after their meeting. When he fails to deliver on
instant red flag. Now we know it's you, buddy.
As promised, she writes up their entire conversation in detail and reports it to the Kansas City Police Department. But Joe is never prosecuted for the murder of her son.
Wow. That's crazy.
More than a decade passes. The murder in room 1046 is still unsolved. Then, in 1950, the FBI analyzes the handwriting samples from Joseph Ogden and Don Kelso again. This time, they come to a definitive conclusion. The handwriting doesn't match. Ogden was most likely not the killer. Donald Kelso is never identified.
What is going on right now?
The case goes cold once again, until a final—
They both not the killers? Who the killer then?
A mysterious phone call is made, over 50 years later. Dr. John Horner is a researcher and librarian at the Kansas City Public Library. He claims that one day he receives an anonymous phone call from out of state. The caller recounts clearing out the possessions of an elderly person who had recently died. Among the things they found was a box. Inside was a collection of newspaper clippings about the murder of Roland T. Owen. But there's more. The box also contained something mentioned in the newspaper stories. Horner asks what the item is, but the caller refuses to identify it. Without giving their name, the caller hangs up and disappears.
Shit getting weird. Wait.
Caller hangs up.
That's it?
Disappears.
That's it? Nah, bro. What the fuck, bro? What? Boom. Still unsolved. Mama bold, though. Mama definitely did her investigation and came face to face with the killer, though, bro. That's some cold shit right there, fam. I'm not even gonna lie, man. What the hell? What the hell? That's crazy, fam. Legendary refresh pull. The dedication to build a realistic set to tell this. Bro, you can see they're stepping up. Oh my God. The most haunting part of this mystery isn't just the unsolved murder, but how every clue seen in the vid is exactly when we get close to the truth. That's a fact. The mom, Ruby, was the biggest balls of steel than most of the police officers, detective working on the case. It's not the ending she wanted, but at least she found who did it. That's insane. Nah, W firm with the animations, bro. You just went crazy with that shit, boy.